Yes, sir.
We want to welcome every one of you, and we're so glad that you came. And we hope that while you're here, that you'll be glad that you came, and you'll really enjoy yourself. I see some familiar faces, but during the Vietnam War, they sent Bill and I to Cadillac, Michigan with his work, and we stayed up there 10 years, so we didn't get to come back till it was over, so I would like to be here, because I see some familiar faces, some really familiar ones. That's my neighbor, or he's there a lot. But we're here to welcome you. That's what it's all about. And we hope you'll relax and enjoy one another. And I'm sure that all of you are seeing familiar faces and getting reacquainted, and that's what it's all about. That's what we want you to do. And now let's bow our heads and let's close our eyes so we can shut out the rest of the world for a little prayer. Lord, first we give thanks for your many blessings on all of us. Give us strength and courage to face each day. Help us to be kind and forgiving of each other and love each other. Help us to learn to make no distinction between race, creed, or color. Help us, Lord, to find time each day to do something good for those less fortunate than we are. Help us all to be better parents and grandparents. Our children will be the ones that will face the trials of tomorrow. Bless each person individually and bless their families. Now help us to enjoy being together, give relief to ones grieving for the ones who never return, and show honor on the ones that are here. We ask it in his name. Amen. Amen. And now I'll turn it over to Bob McKenna.
Okay. Once again, on behalf of the Historical Society, we want to welcome all of you, especially Vietnam veterans. And we owe so much to you, and we're so grateful for your service, and thank you for serving our country during a time of really difficult situation in our history. A lot of you are young enough to be my sons, so the ones that are here tonight, we want to honor you for your service and thank you for your service. Now we want you to indulge yourself in our Historical Society. We meet the second Tuesday of each month. And we would like for you to participate in our organization. I know all of you could be an asset to our organization, could help us. We dig into history, and we dig out a lot of interesting things in our Historical Society. So we'd like each and every one of you to participate when you can. I know a lot of you have not retired yet, but like I say, you're a lot younger than I am. I've been retired 20 years. But those who can, we'd like for you to participate in our organization whenever possible. Tonight, we have honored the World War II veterans and the Korean veterans in the past, and so it's your turn now that we honor you. And we really deeply appreciate your service to our country. Tonight, I'm going to name those that we have here, and we have a good turnout. Of course, one reason why we have a better time than we did World War II veterans, because more of you living now than there were during World War II. So I'd like to call the names of those who are here. Sid McMillan, Charles W. Sweeney, Roy Brotherton, Jimmy Ross, Ray Elliott, Tommy Beecham, Bob Bridgman, Dale Johnson, Charles McCall, Robert Robinson, Jerry Fazell, Dickie Sykes, Jerry Beard, or is that Terry Beard? Okay. Ronnie Roper, Mitchell Smithy, Paul Moody, Daniel Baker, Charles A. Blake, and Donald White. And we would like to welcome all of you, and thank you so much for your service. One thing we didn't do, I want to do this. Cindy, would you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
They have two flags to the front, the left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'll turn this over to whoever follows me.
Thank you, Bob. My name is Vanessa James. I'm past president of the Historical Society. Miss Betty Summers is the current president. But I'm the program chairman. And I do have an apology to all of you all. I found out at 2 o'clock this afternoon that our speaker could not make it. So we are blessed tonight to have Reverend Paul Moody step in. And very blessed. I did want to point out a couple of things. Judy Corman King is who our speaker was supposed to be, and she has been working with the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, which is collecting photographs of the of the names of the young men who were killed in Vietnam. The purpose of this fund is to build is to build an educational center near the wall in Washington, D.C. And you can go online to the vvmf.org and see what their plans are for this. And I'm sorry I don't have more information. That's what our speaker was going to be telling us about tonight. I do have back there on the table, if you picked up one, Ms. King is also a poet, and she has written a poem called The Spirit of the Wall. And this has been set to music. And I found that on... Well, my mind just went blank. What is YouTube. Found it on YouTube, the song that had been set to music. And the last thing I'm going to tell you all before I turn our program over to Pastor Moody is we do invite you all to join the Historical Society, to come to our meetings, and also back there where Betty has been checking you in is the list of our programs and where we're going to meet for the rest of the year, and we invite you to join us. After Pastor Moody finishes, I would like to get a group picture. Jerry Bidey is back there in the back recording this today. Jerry, you got a round of applause there. And if our veterans that are here, and I'm just saying they're 19, Betty, right? If our 19 or so veterans would come up so that we can get a group picture of you, I'd appreciate it. Yes, Nana? Yeah, I will. I spoke to Vicki Clark. There she is. Vicki's here because she had a brother, Larry Steppe, whose name is on the wall, and that's one of the pictures that we sent in from Houston County to the project. So, and Vicki, you've brought a map that belonged to your brother, and if you're interested in seeing her map that she's had laminated because it's been folded and unfolded so many times. Thank you for reminding me of that.
I've got a book here. Don't get afraid. I'm not going to read it. But it's called A Book of Short Stories for Paw Paw. Caitlin, Luke, Landry, Christmas 2009. And they wrote stories, and I'm not going to read any of their stories. But there was a section in it, and this has nothing to do with veterans. But, I'll keep you long. But there was a section in it, reading for when you feel like a dumb bunny. And so here's a few things that might make us laugh, and then I'll get into my brief message. Brooke Shields, everybody knows Brooke. She, during the interview, became spokesperson for anti-smoking campaign, said smoking kills. If you're killed, you've lost a very important part of your life. And ex-President Bill Clinton, if we don't succeed, we run the risk of failure. Then a University of Kentucky basketball forward, I won't tell you his name, he said, I've never had major knee surgery on any other part of my body. And I'm glad, aren't you? Dan Quayle, everybody remember Dan Quayle? I love California. I practically grew up in Phoenix. And here's one from a Texas congregational candidate. That low-down scoundrel deserves to be kicked to death by a jackass, and I'm just the one to do it. And a word by Joe Theismann, who's now a lawyer and ex-NFL football quarterback. The word genius isn't applicable in football. A genius is a guy like Norman Einstein. I believe he meant Albert. And here's probably the best of all. 1994 Miss America, the young lady was asked this question: if you could live forever, would you and why? And here's her answer, quote, I would not live forever because we should not live forever, because if we were supposed to live forever, then we would live forever, but we cannot live forever, which is why I would not live forever. That sounds like some of my sermons. But I have to tell you this one. I was listening to Prayer Home Companion the other night, and it's about death. But you know, death is not funny, but it's a reality for all of us, and we need to take it in stride. We're all going that way, and it's not pleasant to think about, but it's a reality, and it's not the end as far as we believe. But it seems this elderly woman died, and she had only one surviving relative, a great nephew. She was 102 and died pleasantly in her sleep. And he was there, and so he called the funeral home and got a hold of the mortician, or as I called him, the undertaker, and said, my great aunt died, could you come and pick her up? And he said, what's the street address? And she said, he said, the corner of Hydrangea and Eucalyptus. And the mortician said, how do you spell that? He said, could I just drag her over to Maple Street? So, I don't know whether you think that's funny. Now I'll get serious. I did serve in the Vietnam era, and I never really felt qualified to speak as a Vietnam veteran because I'm not. I was in that era, and they were training soldiers secretly in Savannah, Georgia, where I was stationed at Hunter Air Force Base, a strategic air command base, and they were going over there incognito and dying in the late 50s, early 60s, contrary to a lot of knowledge of American citizens. But I'm honored today to be included in that number, but I'm only there as a technicality. I did not have to face the enemy. I've lost many friends over there, and you have to. And you are honored today, though I stand among you, I'm just on the outside looking in. One of the psalms that's often read, military funerals, and when 9/11 they had a memorial, is the 46th Psalm, and it says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. And then it goes on to say, He makes wars to cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. And then it says in the King James, be still and know that I am God. Well, one of the translations that I have says it this way, that be still is translated stop fighting. That makes sense. One translation says calm down. So as I understand war, it's the opposite of what God would want. Be still, quit fighting, and know me. Know that I'm God. I'm not going to preach a sermon, but I wanted to introduce it that way. To me, the opposite thing of war, which we're always going to have, I'm afraid to say, is knowing God. And so, if you want to know why we're in Libya, or Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Iraq, or wherever else it may be, it's because of those who have no really true belief of God as we know it, no matter what religion says. My earliest memories my earliest memory of anything was when I was 3 years old. And in August of 1941, my maternal grandmother came home from church. And she lived just up the street. She was peeling potatoes in the sink, age 49, and dropped remember my dad holding me up, and her casket was in the living room of their house, and me seeing my grandmother. That's the only picture I have of her. That was in August of 1941. The second memory I have as a 3-year-old was the announcement that I heard through my dad and my uncle that Pearl Harbor had just been bombed on Sunday, about noontime, our time, I guess. But it was early Sunday morning, 1900, December the 7th, 1941. My next door neighbor was a World War I veteran. He owned a barber shop, and it was a war to end all wars. By the way, today is the anniversary date of the beginning of the Civil War. Saw that on the news and hardly knew it, but passed that out for information. But it did not end, I'm sad to say. It did not end. And his son, one of his sons and I, he was a year older, we would go out into their barn. It was a barn, it wasn't a garage, it was a barn. And you could have a barn inside the city limits back those days in Harriman. And he had a box of his uniforms, and I don't know, and he had a helmet. But what we liked most of all was his gas mask. And I remember putting that thing on and, you know, suffocating. I know how to operate that. But we played war. War is not play. And we salute and honor our veterans today because they know that it's not a game. Boys and girls, we grow up playing games. I played Japanese against the Americans, Germans and Italians against the Americans. That's just games that children play, but war is not play. They say that 2 things are for certain. But I want to add to that. Death and taxes, but war is certain too. It always has been. Have you ever heard of a time when there was not a war somewhere in the world in which you live? It's always been. Well, we've been blessed in our country since the Civil War. And as we look back upon that war, we just have a vague notion of how terrible it was of Americans against Americans. But thank God that we survived. And we've been blessed not to have been dominated by any nation since our beginning. And I hope that always remains true. We're free today because men and women, boys and girls, gave their life, went into the service. Many of them, remember the movie and the book, Band of Brothers. One of the young men that died was 16 years of age. He lied to get in. He was a brave soldier. And he died on June the 7th or 8th, right after the invasion of Normandy. One of the Screaming Eagles from our 101st, the original group. And as Bob said, we're losing our World War II rapidly. My dad and 4 or 5 of his brothers were in that war, and I had uncles who served with Patton in the tank divisions. There's a lady in the nursing home who served under Patton as a nurse. She's 98 years old, Italy Griffin. We honor those people because they have been willing to give that sacrifice and give up their futures. And it's just impossible for me to say enough, and I know that you share that same feeling. I don't know how to do it except to go through the cemeteries, or go to our monuments like at the courthouse, and especially to read what's engraved and remember maybe for a brief prayer and thank God for them throughout the world. And if you're like me, I hate to hear the news when they say we lost some more soldiers from wherever, but especially right here, the 101st. Precious people. And I hope that one thing that we as veterans do is try to keep on passing on to our generation. But you know, now without a draft, and I don't know whether we should have one or not, but I do believe the military will be a lot of good training for some of these that seem to have nothing to do.
Amen.
Amen, brother, amen.
It's certainly awakening for me when I went in. I was 21 years old when I went in, and I thought, well, I'll pass through this. Well, I got put down to size right quick. Shaved my head, cut off the holes of my head, and I was bleeding like a stuck hog. Took it out. But it was good for me. I already had some discipline, but it gave me better discipline. The one that I've never forgotten is be on time and quit early. That's my motto. I believe in that, and I hope I can live by it. I will. Last year I gave a program on Sergeant York, and Minetta was really desperate when she had to call me. But I was glad to fill in. I'm not going to do that program again, except to say it was an honor to know Sergeant York's family, especially his wife. I didn't know him. He was already deceased. But I did know her, and I still know two of the sons, one of the daughters. I don't see them often. It's been a long time, but I do communicate with them and belong to that restoration group that's preserving the home place and York Institute that Sergeant York helped to found. He never gained a dime from being the most decorated soldier of World War I. He turned it down. And he got in trouble for government because he didn't go through the right channels. They tried to get him, and he had to pay back taxes. He had to pay $50-something thousand, which he didn't owe because he used it to build a school. But he never gained. He could have been a multimillionaire, but he never gained. And every time I went into his home, not often, but I went in and sat with Miss Gracie and her children, grandchildren, sat around, drank coffee, or talked to them, listened to their stories. I felt like I was on hallowed ground. What made me appreciate Sergeant York was not his bravery. He was a brave man. He happened to be there, and he did what he had to do. The situation makes heroes, and we do whatever we have to do. But he was a brave man to start with. But what made me appreciate him was his humbleness, his love for his country, and his simple ways that really, to me, are the backbone of our nation. It's not the uppity ups, it's the foot soldier. It's the everyday working blue-collar man. I have nothing against white collar. I'm a little white collar myself sometimes. But I'm really just an ordinary boy who grew up and became a preacher. Before a preacher, and always an American, and proud to be called an American veteran. Sergeant York helped bring schools to Fentress County. Instead of gaining from it, he gave. That's why I try to keep in touch. And the few times that I've seen his son Andrew Jackson York was in Murfreesboro to VA or to veterans in Nashville. And I'd say, Andrew, what you doing here? He said, I'm bringing some old folks up here to go to the hospital. Still serving the nation. So I'm proud. I remember one piece of paraphernalia that my dad brought back from World War II. He went in late. He was 31 years old and the oldest man on the ship. He didn't go in until late 44 and came out in 46. But it brought home a rectangular piece of a Japanese plane that had the rising sun on it and a bullet hole in it. And I'm still mad at my brother. I think he got it. And I didn't get a chance to get my hands on it. And next time I see my older brother, I'm going to ask him if I can see it. I know he's got it. But it helped me remind me of the sacrifice that was given. You know, today the Japanese people are suffering. The news tonight, their disaster over there is worse and worse. What nation in the world would have conquered Japan in 1945 and not taken them over? We gave them their freedom. Now they're more prosperous than we are. They don't owe as much money. But America's not out to bring new territory. America's out to help people, ordinary people, enjoy the freedoms, to be able to go where you want to, when you want to, no matter what anybody else thinks about it. That's what we are, independent Americans. We love our nation, we love each other. been 66 years since the ending of World War II. And Japan and Germany have reaped the benefits of being defeated. I'm glad, because if they had won, we know we would not be here. We would be speaking Japanese and German or Russian. I'm thankful for that. So tonight we honor our vets, and I honor you. I sincerely say that. I'm proud to say that I've served, had an honorable discharge, and my grandchildren said, "What ribbons did you get?" I said, "I got 2. Good conduct." And that's important. I saw men being kicked out undesirable. I'd hate to have that on my record, that I was an undesirable. Some of them because they wouldn't take a bath. That's a shame. But I'm thankful for that experience. I'm thankful tonight to be a part of this program, to honor our veterans, to honor America, and to keep on praying that we don't give up on our country. We have a lot of problems. I've been to a few countries overseas, and when I was in Poland, Germany, Israel, Egypt, a few others, and I didn't want to stay in any of them. It's good to go, better to come back. As far as I know, most of the people in the world are knocking on the door. Let me in by the hair, by a chin, chin, chin. God bless America, and God bless our veterans. Thank you.
We would like the veterans to come up and then you can. My job. Sit on top. Sure. We do have a refreshment table over here. We've got coffee and tea. We do have food and drink over there for diabetics if you. But if we could have our veterans come up, we are dismissed otherwise. Thank you.
You all historical side of it.